Thank you for tuning into our first episode of Mind Split Cafe, a mental health podcast. Today we have Jessica Murph, licensed marriage family therapist, as well as a substance abuse counselor located in Edinburgh, Texas. We also have Matt Palmquist of 610 Marketing as a co-host. This podcast is solely for the education and information of mental health, how to go about seeking help, how to ask for help, and any questions you guys might have for us. Having said that, Jessica, do you want to introduce yourself to our viewers?
Yeah, sure. So yes, my name is Jessica Murph. Everyone usually calls me Jess. I am a licensed marriage and family therapist practicing in the state of Texas. I also have a supervision designation, so I am able to supervise up and coming therapists, which I'll start doing soon. And I'm a licensed chemical dependency counselor. I have my own private practice, and it's called Beyond Boundaries Counseling, RGB.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you for that.
I'm Matt Palmquist, creative founder of 610 Marketing, and yes, I'm helping Chris. My intent for my presence is to ask questions that maybe the common man would ask or be too afraid to ask, right? And so, Jess, I just want to tell you, thank you so much for joining the show. I know Chris has been working on this concept for a very long time, and I know it's a deep passion for him. And, you know, when he came to me with the project, I was like, however I can support. And then we had to find our first guest. And I know your skepticism was there, but you trust us. And I just want to say thank you for doing that and joining us as the first guest for Mind Split.
Hey, you know what? It's my passion too. Give me a stage, give me a mic, give me anywhere to talk about mental health and how people can better access it. Anywhere from professional therapists that are licensed to kiddos who need to go to therapy and talk about their frustration with their parents. I mean, let's do it. Skepticism, sure, always. I have healthy boundaries.
Yeah.
I do my homework.
I kind of wanted to throw this out here for the listeners as well. This first episode is going to be just kind of a general conversation, discussion between us three on what mental health is, the different aspects of it, once again, how to access it. And the other ones will have more specific topics, but this one's just going to be a general discussion on mental health.
I would like to start off with the first question of the first episode. Why do you think it's so important for individuals to seek professional treatment for their mental health rather than just solely relying on like self-help or informal support, like talking to friends or whatever? Why do you think it's so important?
You said we only have 30 minutes, Matt? Like
I love you already, Jess.
Well, I'll try to narrow it down. So it's important that, you know, whenever you're looking to better yourself, better your life, you know, that we need to be taking care of the whole body, mind, body, spirit, emotions. You know, and talking to friends is great. We need that social support. We need that network. But I mean, there are just things that you can't and furthermore shouldn't be talking to your friends about, shouldn't be talking to your spouse about. There are, when you have a good match with a therapist, I should say, you know, first of all, start with that. Find a therapist that aligns with your values, read their bio, have a 10-minute discovery call with them, see what the vibe is. Mm-hmm. And when you have them come into your life, you're able to get a non-biased perspective. Your friends, if they're your friends, will always have an incredible amount of bias because they love you. And especially your spouse, they love you. They want to have your back. So if you tell them that someone was being shitty to you, they're going to be like, what an asshole. You know, they're automatically going to back you up.
I've got friends like that. Yeah.
When you have a therapist who has healthy boundaries and, you know, has some, experience around relationships, they're going to come in and give you the truth about what is healthy and what is not healthy.
That's a great answer. Let me ask you this. There's so many people without health insurance right now, that don't have access to licensed therapists, professionals like yourself, right? So what do you suggest they do? Is it diet? Is it exercise? Is it, that sort of thing? I'm curious to know.
That's funny. I was actually talking to my partner last night, and he was like, yeah, I think if they ask you a question like that, you should say, do something, do anything, read a book, get on go to a free group, go to a CODA meeting, go to an AA meeting, go to anywhere, do something. But in the meantime, keep seeking out those other supports. And I actually don't work with insurance, so all of my clients are private pay. And I will work with them financially when I have the space. I have a limited space for those in need.
And you're in the Rio Grande Valley area, correct?
I'm in the Rio Grande
Just plug
Valley.
in your practice. What is the name of your practice?
Beyond Boundaries Counseling, RGB. So when people call me and they're like, hey, do you accept, Blue Cross or whatever, I'll say no. But even if we're not a good match, I'll say, hey, you know what? They're offering free counseling services at the university. They're offering free counseling services at Nuestra Clínica del Valle, or they're offering, free services at these different clinics. I do my best to try and, give people those resources, and I network with other therapists.
Yeah.
We're in my therapy network, we're not about trying to, grab clients for ourselves. It's not a competition. We just want people to get the help that they need.
And I also did notice that you didn't say go to your local bar.
Counterproductive.
Maybe your hairdresser.
Don't go seek professional advice from your bartender at Papados. Don't do it, right? So,
well, I was gonna say my barber was my therapist for a while until I started getting actual help.
I didn't ask you this before, but what does that flag mean?
So the flag behind me is it's more of a progressive version of the original queer flag. It's the rainbow flag, which is an umbrella term for our queer community, and then the brown and the black are for Black lives, brown lives, and then the blue, pink, and white at the top is specifically for the transgender community. What it means to me, and furthermore, the message that I'm trying to get out to people when I put these flags everywhere, including outside the front of my house, at the front of my door, on the outside of my house, is this is a safe space. You're welcome here. Feel safe here. Feel welcome. Yeah. I needed that when I was a teenager. I remember being a kiddo looking around. Who is wearing rainbow? Who does anyone have on a rainbow bracelet? Where is family? Where is safety?
I just wanted to backtrack real quick to your first answer, and then we'll come back to this one. I just wanted to ask, you mentioned that mental health is one of the most important aspects of our overall health, but from what I can understand, it's one of the most overlooked aspects as well. It's one of the ones that people tend to shy away from, whether the fear of being stigmatized or just don't know they really need help. And do you know why? Can you answer as to why that happens, or what have you seen in the past from your clients that have stopped them from getting help in the first place?
I mean, there is a lot of stigma in all different areas. There's the cis het male stigma. I'm a man. I can't cry. I can't talk about my feelings. That's not okay. I'm a woman, I'm a mother, I've got to be strong for my kids. So a lot of times I'll have parents that'll send their kids to therapy, and I'm like, hey, but mom, though, like, you're looking a little stressed out. Like, why don't you take your kids' session today? Your kid's doing just fine, So I mean, there's some like a gender norm kind of stereotype there. And then there's also if I go to therapy, and I'm going to use the C word, if I go to therapy, it means I'm crazy. Oh no,
Mm.
right? So there's that. It's like oh no, it means it's true. And it's like the worst thing that
Yeah.
you could ever admit to yourself. And then there's the other end of the spectrum, which is like, oh, I'm not traumatized enough for therapy. I'm not depressed enough. There's so many other people in the world that have it so much worse than I do. Let's
Mhm.
leave the therapy for them.
But stress is stress, whether you're dealing with internal, like, hey, I need to find a safe space and a community that I identify with, you know?
Yeah, I wanted to jump back to the flag real quick. So you kind of mentioned something about trying to find a safe place, or trying to find people of the same group looking for the rainbow flag, and coupling it back with stress. What kind of stresses come with being closeted and trying to find a safe place to come out?
So, I mean, that depends. If you're talking about children who are, seeking therapy, there's all kinds of fear that they might mention something to their therapist, that their therapist might say something to their parents. So there
Mhm.
needs to be that kind of confidentiality there. Um, if you're talking about maybe people in the workforce, teachers, lawyers, doctors, there's this fear that they can't live their genuine lives or their genuine selves, because then people at work are not going to be friends with them anymore. They're going to be
Mhm.
treated differently. And then people in the transgender community who have a name that looks different than what's on their license or their birth certificate, go into work. For example, go into the workspace, have full support by maybe one of their supervisors or their bosses, but then whoever has their timesheet or their legal documents
Mm.
totally gives what's called the dead name, which is a name that they no longer use to identify themselves. And that's very triggering, and that's
Mm.
very anxiety inducing. And I've had clients who have completely quit their jobs for that reason.
You know, a thing now is you go into public places and they have like gender neutral bathrooms, right? And
Mhm.
so for someone that's transgender, and forgive me, I'm not an expert, right? But for someone that's transgender, that could be triggering also for which bathroom to go into or where they feel comfortable to visit, because of one, they were born one way, but they identify another way, but they don't feel like they're in a safe space at this public restaurant or whatever to be themselves,
Yeah.
you know? And so, wow, that's just an eye-opening experience to where those triggers can be.
Even in a gender neutral bathroom, that can be a very dangerous place to be.
My wife and I are going through the process of buying a house, and and that in itself is stressful, right? And so we were fortunate to find a friend of ours, Sal Cantu, over at Tex A Mortgage, and he like held our hand, and it was amazing. You're dealing with stress of how do I provide for my family and get this house that my wife wants, right? And so yeah, I just wanted to give a shout out to them because they were like my therapist for a hot second, just try to get us this mortgage, right? And so yeah,
Support.
Makeshift therapist.
support.
Support,
I didn't even
period.
know it at the time, Jess. I'm going to call Sal right now and tell him thank you. What do you recommend as a healthy age for a child to start therapy? What's a healthy answer or a healthy recommendation from an expert as yourself?
If you have a really young kiddo that's having behavioral issues at school and they're very small, I think that some of the things that a play therapist does is just amazing. Y'all should totally get a play therapist to come on the show. They use imagination, they use toys, they use role play. It's amazing. Even for those very young kids, you have them going to therapy, they're processing things with their very undeveloped minds. But then they go into the home and mom and dad are still fighting all the time. Brother and sister, sibling, they're still bullying them at home. There's substance abuse issues going on. I don't believe in the identified patient can ever be a child. We need to get the whole family in therapy. And I say that biasly because I'm a systemic therapist, and this is what I do. I look at the whole family system.
And not to cut you off, but what do you do if you have certain parts of the family that are pro therapy? And say, for an example, you got the mom and the child, the mom's for therapy, right? Hey, our child needs therapy and we've got to go, and fully supportive behind the movement of going to therapy. But then you have that alpha male, right, that you kind of mentioned, that is like, I don't need it. My kid doesn't need it. You don't need it. Y'all are crazy. Like, how do you navigate those waters to where you can kind of rope in that male figure, or do you just focus on the mom and the kid? I'm just curious.
So I charm.
Well, you would win at that because you're very charming. Like, I want to go see you after this podcast, right? I'm gonna divulge my soul to you. So
I just try to really join with the dude. I'm like, man, like I could really use your help. I'm having a real difficult time with XYZ. Man, would you mind coming in for just like 10 minutes for a family therapy session? And then you can go. Then you can go. I'll just gonna ask you a few, questions. Like, would that be cool? Or hey man, like, what about a one-on-one? You don't have to stay for the full hour, just like just can you just come talk to me for a little bit? Like, would that be all right? Just a conversation.
yeah.
And usually that works out pretty well. And a lot of times I'll have them being like, this was way different than I thought it was gonna
Yeah.
be.
You know what's funny, Jess, is that's how Chris got me on to co-host. Like, he was like, hey, we're gonna try this out. It's gonna be one way. And now I'm on it. And I was kind of like, oh, okay, I do podcasts for a living. Like, I get it, right? We're a media company, but now I'm like blown away. I'm getting excited about all the people that we're going to meet in the future episodes, so this is going to be my outlet. This is going to be my therapy, right? So thank you, Chris. I'm giving you your flowers now.
Yeah, I mean, there's so much with mental health that we don't even know that affects our mental health, whether it be good, bad, or indifferent. I mean, just every aspect of our life kind of helps affect negatively or positively our mental health. And one other thing I wanted to ask you on that topic is what can we do? I know you say that you say don't just go do something, like if they can't go to therapy, or even if they're going to therapy, go do something about it. What does that include? Like working out, eating right? I know you mentioned play therapy for kids. What else can we do on our own that helps better our mental health?
Besides going to Papados at the bar,
Yeah, I don't know if she would co-sign on that one being a substitute.
She's not. That's not coming from the professional. It's coming from the dummy. So
yeah. And if you should be tipping your bartender with way more money, man, to put up with your shit.
I love it.
Figured you out, man. Figured you out.
I love it.
So, I think that what happens is that we get so busy in our busy lives, and we're on the grind, or maybe not on the grind. I think a lot of people just really lose themselves. I think a lot of people have really been told that their feelings don't matter, that they matter less, and we won't even get into the whole like, you need to be a selfless person. Maybe we can talk about that kind of trauma in another episode. I say prioritize yourself first. And that may even mean for so many people really even figuring out who they are. I have clients that are 40 plus who have these moments where they kind of sit back and go, shit, I've been a mom, I've been a dad, I've been a businessman, I've been all of these things.
Yeah.
I don't even have a hobby.
Yeah.
I don't know what I do. I don't know who I am.
You know what's crazy about what you just said is that I've been a dad for 22 years now, right? My son is 22 and I love him to death. And I've got the dad body to prove it, right?
I
Because I
believe you.
used to be a tip top Division I athlete, at the university here in the Valley, right? And
Nothing
now I've
wrong
got the
with a
dad
dad
bod. I've
body.
got the
No body shaming.
yeah, and I've got the dad bod, and I've been trying to lose weight because I don't feel healthy. I don't feel good about myself, and I found this meal prep place, right? And it's health prep meals, and I'm like trying to actively lose weight because I honestly feel that because I don't feel good about myself, it kind of snowballs into the rest of my day, into my life, into my attitude or my relationships with friends or my wife. Like it snowballs, right? Would you
Mhm.
say that's a real thing?
Absolutely. You're not taking care of yourself. You're giving all of you for your family, and you give yourself the scraps. So if you can find a place that helps you eat better and that makes you feel better, I mean, you're taking a step in the right direction.
Well, I'm glad I heard it from you. You're my therapist now. So
I'll
we're
send you
gonna
an
have you on
invoice.
every week, and I'm just gonna divulge
He's
everything
gonna
to
start
you
charging us, man.
in front of the world.
I've got your
I
email.
wanted to compound on that. I since Matt's telling us about his dad bod, I'm going to tell you about my pixie stick bod. I mean, I have no muscles. I'm skinny. I don't work out, and I have this friend in the Valley. She's in the medical field, and she's kind of been joking with me recently, trying to get me to actually work out. And she's been telling me, it helps with your mental health. It helps you do this, and so I've taken her advice and I've started working out. It does feel better. It makes me feel better throughout the day. Like I've actually accomplished something. It releases endorphins. It makes me feel better about myself as well. And that's something that I've started doing for my mental health. And another thing that I've done, and I don't know if this helps, but when I'm done with my workout, I tend to go, when I'm in the Valley, I go to the Shack supplement. The Shack, it's a
Oh, I've
supplement.
heard of them. Yeah.
Yeah, they got great drinks for pre-workout, post-workout. They have juicing. My friend actually told me about it, and I started going there quite a bit after I would work out. I mean, it's great. It makes me feel like I completed the circle of working out. I go there before for a pre-workout or something, do the workout afterwards. Go get a protein drink. It seems
Nice.
to work out.
And
Well,
I'm not a doctor and I'm not giving medical advice, so I'll preface what I'm about to say with that. But there are certain vitamins and supplements and nutrients that people who suffer from depression and anxiety, they're lacking naturally. And taking those specific types of vitamins and nutrients can really help with their mental health. So they should definitely talk
so
to a doctor and
explore
explore that.
those options.
Get blood
Yeah.
work done, talk to your PCP, and yeah, because even just lacking, one certain type of vitamin can cause severe chronic fatigue.
Yeah,
Wow.
that's really good advice. They kind of guided me, since I don't really know much about protein and working out and vitamins. They kind of guided me on what to get, and I'm very grateful. But now I'm gonna do a little more research on my own, so I know what I'm actually getting and what I'm asking for.
Yeah, dietitians can help with that too.
Yeah, and I know we might be coming close to time. Matt might have a better grasp on what
Has
time
it
it is.
gone by that fast?
I think so, man, it's fun.
Jeez.
It goes by fast when
Yeah.
you're having fun. But
I want
I do.
I want 30 more minutes. I want my full hour with Jess. Like, come on. You're robbing me, Chris. You're robbing me.
Next time we'll have to plan for an hour. This time we didn't really plan too much. Like this is our first
Yeah.
episode, but we'll plan time for Jess to come back on and give us a little bit more of her time. But while I still have you, I want to ask one last question, and I believe it's probably a burning question in a lot of people's head, and it's a very simple question. But what is your best advice? And I know you've already kind of gone over this, but what's your best advice for someone seeking help, other than do your 10-minute call beforehand and make sure they vibe with you?
That's a great
But
way to end the episode. That's a great question, Chris.
thank you.
So, it's there's actually more strategy to it than people realize. I would suggest, if you know what it is that you want to work on, and you know yourself, you know what you're looking for, use a directory. So I can't name these directories,
Of
but
course.
maybe I can give them to you later. But there's 3 or 4 directories that are listed on my website that people can go to, that actually lets you filter the therapist. So if you want a certain type of insurance, you click this type of insurance. If you want someone who specializes in working with anxiety, trauma, relationships, ADHD, there's all these filters there that these directories will give you. Versus if you go to Google and you have your location set up, it's going to take you to, and not that these are bad options, or, that you shouldn't use these options, but it's going to take you to like the big facilities in your area, the first things that pop up on Google, and those may be great for you. It may be a good fit. But if you've tried that and it's not working out, go to these different specific therapist directories and use their filter search, and kind of create a list for yourself and call everyone until you find that therapist that feels like your soulmate
You find
therapist.
that connection.
Yeah, you find that I know I definitely found my therapist that
I
way.
found my therapist too. Like, yeah.
Jess, I was going to jump in and say, why all those big facilities get thrown up on the top when Google search, right? Because they got good people like Matt doing their SEO.
No.
That's exactly
we
why.
do SEO, but no. But no. I just want to say thank you. I know the episode's coming to a close, but I just want to give my 2 cents before Chris parts. But thank you so much for the information that you shared.
You're welcome.
You actually affected my day today. Like,
Oh,
I didn't have the best morning, and this is God's honest truth. I didn't have the best morning this morning, and it got kind of off on the wrong foot, so to speak. And then I met you today for a reason. And so I just want to say thank you for your energy, for your information, for your knowledge, and your willingness to share. Like, it's just, your aura is amazing. I know it's a Zoom call, but I just want to say thank you from the dummy, right? But I want to say thank you. And I think you're an awesome human being. And whoever has a therapist like you, or has you as a therapist along with myself, we're in good hands.
Well, you're very welcome. Thank you for creating such a safe and fun space. I've had a great time. Got my day started off laughing.
Yeah, this has definitely been a blast, and I just want to come back on and say thank you to you as well, Jessica. You've been great.
You're welcome.
I know that you have a lot going on in your day, so thank you for taking the time to meet with us, discuss, and divulge a little bit of your knowledge on us and the listeners. For the listeners, I just wanted to again say thank you. Thank you for being patient. Keep us in mind for our next episode. And then the other thing, Matt, I think we're going to have to change your name on here to the dummy, because you keep saying it. So we're just
I'm just the everyday man, just asking the normal questions everybody else is afraid to ask. That's it. Until next week, guys, we'll see you for the next episode of Mind Split Cafe.